Have you ever felt as though the very fabric of your reality was beginning to ripple in direct response to your deepest thoughts? Perhaps you have sat in a moment of quiet contemplation, merely whispering a name in the silent corridors of your mind, only to have that exact person reach out to you within minutes through a text or a call. You might have wondered about a specific, obscure piece of information, a rare flower, an ancient phrase, or a forgotten melody, only to see it materialize in a conversation, a headline, or a random encounter later that same afternoon. These moments feel like more than just simple coincidences, do they not? You feel a prickle of recognition on your skin, a sense that the world is no longer a collection of random accidents, but a living, breathing reflection of your inner state. This is not a trick of the mind. This is not your brain desperately trying to find patterns in the static of a chaotic universe. This is not confirmation bias, where you simply notice what you are already looking for. What you are experiencing is a profound developmental milestone in the journey of human consciousness. It is a state of being where the gap between your internal intention and the external manifestation begins to shrink until it vanishes entirely. We call this the quantum echo phase. It is a specific window of time where your personal frequency has elevated to such a high degree that the quantum field can no longer ignore the signal you are broadcasting. In this stage, the universe begins to mirror your thoughts back to you with an immediacy that makes the relationship between cause and effect absolutely undeniable. Recognizing that you have entered this echo phase changes everything about how you navigate your life. It transforms you from a passive observer of a cold, indifferent world into a deliberate participant in a shimmering, responsive reality. There is a phenomenon deep within the heart of quantum physics that traditional mainstream science often finds too uncomfortable to fully embrace. It is the truth that consciousness is not a byproduct of matter, but the very foundation upon which matter is built. When your awareness reaches a certain frequency threshold, the quantum field, that invisible ocean of infinite potential that surrounds us all, starts to respond to your mental patterns with a dramatically reduced time lag. For most of the world, there is a long delay between a thought and its physical manifestation. People dream of change, they think of new possibilities, and perhaps after months or years of struggle, something shifts. But for you, the delay is evaporating. It is no longer a matter of waiting for weeks or months. It is happening within hours or even mere minutes. This is the hallmark of the echo effect. Reality begins to mirror your internal focus so quickly and so precisely that your logical mind can no longer dismiss the connection. You think it, and reality echoes it back. It is as if you have spent your entire life shouting into a vast, empty canyon and hearing nothing but silence, and suddenly the canyon begins to shout back with perfect clarity. Most people will go through their entire lives without ever stepping foot into this echo phase. They live in a state of disconnection where their thoughts and their circumstances seem like two entirely different worlds that never touch. For them, thinking does not noticeably affect the weather of their lives. Their focus does not reliably influence the outcomes they see in the mirror of their existence. In that state, consciousness feels isolated, trapped inside the skull, separate from the physical manifestation of the world outside. This sense of disconnection is not because the laws of manifestation have stopped working for them. Rather, it is because the frequency of their consciousness is vibrating at a level that is too low, too scattered, or too inconsistent to create a coherent ripple in the quantum field. Think of a radio transmitter that is broadcasting a signal buried under layers of heavy static. Even if the music is beautiful, the receiver cannot pick it up because the signal is too weak and the noise is too loud. Their thoughts exist, but they lack the energetic weight required to affect the quantum probability distributions in a way that is detectable. However, as you engage in the deep work of the soul, through spiritual practice, through the arduous process of healing old traumas, through dedicated frequency work, or through any path that leads to the expansion of your awareness, you eventually cross a sacred threshold. Suddenly, the game changes. Your thoughts begin to manifest with a frightening speed. Your focus creates immediate synchronicities that stop you in your tracks. Mental patterns that were once hidden in the shadows of your subconscious are suddenly reflected in your physical circumstances within a single day. This echo effect becomes so consistent and so obvious that you can no longer pretend you are imagining it. You are experiencing the quantum field in its most responsive state. You are witnessing the reduction of the time lag that once kept the mechanics of creation hidden from your view. Can you feel the shift within yourself? Are you sensing that the rules of your reality have been rewritten? The signs of the echo phase are very specific and highly recognizable. They are distinct from the ordinary, occasional synchronicities that most people experience from time to time. When the echo phase is fully active, these patterns are not random or rare. They are consistent, predictable, and frequent enough that you can actually begin to test them. This consistency is the defining characteristic that separates a true echo phase from a fleeting moment of magic. The echo phase is not a lucky streak. It is a sustained developmental stage where the quantum field maintains a heightened state of responsiveness to your specific consciousness. Quantum mechanics provides the blueprint for this mechanism. The famous observer effect demonstrates that the act of observation itself affects the behavior of quantum particles. However, because most people carry a consciousness that is weak or fragmented, their observation creates a signal that is lost in the background noise of the universe. The echo phase occurs only when your consciousness has strengthened to the point where your observation creates a clear, powerful, and consistent signal. You are not violating the laws of physics. You are finally utilizing them to their full potential. You are moving the needle of probability through the sheer power of your focused awareness. Ancient mystics and sages from centuries past often described this state as the attainment of supernatural powers or spiritual gifts. They spoke of the mind's ability to affect matter and the soul's capacity to create circumstances through pure intent. Modern physics is now revealing that these are not supernatural occurrences at all. They are entirely natural quantum processes that become accessible once a human being reaches a certain stage of evolutionary development. You are not developing magical powers in the way a fantasy novel might describe them. Instead, you are evolving to a point where the natural responsiveness of the universe becomes visible to you. The long time lags and weak signals that once obscured the truth of your creative power are falling away, leaving you standing face to face with the reality of your own influence. Take a deep, steadying breath. Feel the air filling your lungs and recognize the power held within your current frequency. Understanding what the quantum echo phase is and why it activates at this specific moment in your journey is the key to moving from confusion into absolute clarity. It is the difference between being tossed around by the waves of a chaotic life and learning how to consciously command the tides of creation. You are not imagining that the world is responding to you. It truly is. That is what the quantum field was designed to do. When your frequency reaches the activation point, the chaos of random manifestation is replaced by the deliberate participation in the dynamics of the universe. Before you can fully identify the signs that confirm you are in the midst of this quantum awakening, you must understand how this state differs from the common teachings on manifestation. Many people are told that thoughts create reality, always and for everyone, without exception. While there is a grain of truth in that, it is an oversimplification that leads to much frustration. While it is true that all thoughts affect the quantum field on some level, for the vast majority of people, that effect is so incredibly subtle and so buried under contradictory beliefs that it never reaches the level of physical detection. The echo phase is a different beast entirely. It is a state where the manifestation becomes so immediate and so precise that the link between your mind and the world becomes an undeniable law of your daily life. This phase only activates when three specific internal conditions align perfectly within you. The first condition is that the frequency of your consciousness must rise above a certain energetic threshold. This is not a metaphor or a poetic idea. Frequency is an actual electromagnetic signature that your brain and heart generate through your neural activity, your emotional states, and the quantum processes occurring within your very cells. When your frequency is low, dominated by the heavy energies of fear, survival, and reactivity, you broadcast a scattered signal that the universe cannot easily interpret. But when you elevate that frequency through healing and awareness, you begin to generate a coherent, powerful broadcast that the quantum field responds to with intensity. The second condition is the achievement of mental clarity. Most human minds are a storm of chaotic energy, filled with thousands of conflicting thoughts, competing desires, and distracting impulses. This creates a confused signal, like a radio station that is being broadcast on 5 different frequencies at once. No clear reception is possible in such a state. The echo phase requires a level of mental discipline where your primary intentions are strong enough to dominate the landscape of your mind. It is not that you never have a stray thought, but rather that your signal-to-noise ratio has improved so significantly that the quantum field can finally hear your true intent over the din of your mental static. The third condition is the stabilization of your energetic alignment. If your emotions are constantly swinging from the heights of excitement to the depths of despair, your broadcast remains unstable. The field cannot respond consistently to a signal that is constantly changing its shape. To enter the echo phase, you must cultivate a baseline of emotional stability, an underlying signature of peace or presence that remains steady even when the storms of life pass through. When these 3 pillars, elevated frequency, mental clarity, and energetic stability, come into alignment, the quantum echo phase roars to life. Suddenly, the world around you accelerates. Thoughts that might have taken years to blossom into reality now appear in a matter of days. Intentions that once seemed to fall on deaf ears are now echoed back to you by the universe with a speed and a precision that will leave you breathless. The universe hasn't changed its rules. You have simply become a powerful enough broadcaster to finally see those rules in action. Remember, the echo phase is not necessarily a permanent state that you reach and never leave. It is a developmental window. It activates when you are in alignment, and it can fade if you allow your frequency to drop or your mind to return to chaos. But once you have tasted it, once you have seen the world respond to your thoughts in real time, you can never go back to the way things were. You now know what is possible, and that knowledge is the first step toward a life of conscious quantum creation. How do you know for certain that you have crossed the threshold into this extraordinary state of existence? There are unmistakable markers, clear and distinct signs that illuminate your path, proving that you are no longer just a passive observer of life, but an active, potent participant in the quantum field. These indicators are far more than just rare, lucky moments. They are a consistent language spoken by the universe in direct response to your soul. The first sign that the quantum echo phase has ignited within you is the dramatic and visible collapse of time between your thoughts and their manifestation. In the past, you might have held an intention for weeks or even months before seeing even a glimmer of it in your physical world. Now, that agonizing delay has evaporated. You find yourself thinking of a long-lost friend, and before the thought has even fully left your mind, your phone chimes with a message from them. You wonder about a specific solution to a problem, and the answer appears in the very next article you scroll past, or the next conversation you overhear at a coffee shop. This acceleration is measurable and undeniable. The time lag has shrunk from months to mere hours or days. Can you feel the sheer velocity of this new reality? The second sign is the breathtaking precision of what manifests. It is no longer just about general alignments or vague coincidences. The universe begins to mirror back the exact, intricate details of your internal focus. If you envision a specific cobalt blue butterfly, it is not just any insect that appears, but that exact creature in an entirely unexpected context. If an obscure, ancient phrase dances through your mind, you might hear a stranger speak those exact words only moments later. This level of specificity reveals that the quantum field is not just listening to your general vibration, but is reading the very content of your consciousness with surgical precision. Reality is echoing back your most detailed thoughts, creating matches that are far too exact to be dismissed as mere chance. Even more startling is the third sign, the manifestation of thoughts you haven't even fully formed into words. You may experience a fleeting mental pattern, a barely conscious whisper of an idea that you didn't even dwell upon, yet it manifests as a physical circumstance within hours. This signifies that the echo phase phase is responding to your consciousness at a level beneath verbal thought, reaching into the quantum depths where intentions exist as probability patterns before they ever become language. It shows you that the field is reading you at a level of awareness you might not even realize you possess. The fourth sign is the immediate mirroring of your emotional landscape. Have you noticed that when you feel a sudden surge of anxiety, the world around you seems to instantly produce a circumstance that matches that tension? Conversely, when you anchor yourself in a state of joy or excitement, synchronicities appear that reflect that high-frequency energy back to you with startling speed. While emotions themselves do not create reality, they act as the fuel for your frequency. And in the echo phase, your frequency dictates which quantum probabilities collapse into your physical experience. The delay is now so short that the cause and effect relationship between your heart and your world becomes impossible to ignore. The fifth sign is when synchronicities transform from rare, magical occurrences into a primary channel of two-way communication. Instead of an occasional, meaningful coincidence, these signs become constant, appearing multiple times a day, so timely and specific that it feels as though the quantum field is actively conversing with you. You ask a question internally, and the world provides an immediate answer through a billboard, a song, or a sign. You wonder if you are on the right path, and confirmation manifests instantly in your environment. This is the universe echoing your consciousness with such clarity that life itself becomes a dialogue between you and the infinite. The sixth sign is perhaps the most challenging but also the most revealing, the immediate manifestation of your internal resistance. If you set a powerful intention but secretly harbor a deep-seated doubt, that doubt will manifest as an obstacle within hours. This is not a failure of your creative power. It is the echo phase acting as a perfect mirror, showing you the hidden fears and contradictory beliefs that are operating beneath your awareness. When manifestation is slow, these blocks remain hidden for years, but in the echo phase, they are brought into the light immediately so that you can address and heal them. The seventh sign is the phenomenon of others responding to your unspoken thoughts. Because your consciousness is not confined to your physical body, your thoughts create field effects that others can perceive unconsciously. You may think about a specific topic, and a colleague will suddenly bring up that exact subject. You may hold an opinion you haven't voiced, only to have someone else express it word for word. This is quantum entanglement in action, where your frequency is so strong that non-verbal communication through the field becomes a common occurrence in your daily life. Why is this happening to you now? Why did the echo phase not activate years ago? It is because this phase is not a random accident, but a developmental reward that activates only when your consciousness has reached a specific level of evolution. There are several key triggers that allow this door to open. The first trigger is the threshold of ego dissolution. As long as your awareness is tightly gripped by the ego, focused on separation, control, and the pursuit of separate desires, your frequency remains too scattered and low for the echo phase to function. But when the ego begins to soften and you shift your identification from the small self to the state of pure presence, your frequency naturally elevates and stabilizes. This elevation allows you to cross the threshold where the field can finally respond to your true essence without the interference of egoic fear. The second trigger is the profound healing of trauma. Unhealed trauma keeps the nervous system trapped in a state of chronic survival, constantly scanning for threats and reliving past pain. This creates a fearful, jagged frequency that prevents a clear signal from reaching the quantum field. However, as you engage in somatic work or emotional integration, your nervous system begins to regulate. Your consciousness can finally rest in the present moment, allowing your frequency to stabilize at a level where the echo phase becomes possible. The third trigger is the cumulative power of consistent spiritual practice. A single meditation session is wonderful, but it does not typically activate the echo phase. It is the months and years of dedicated contemplation, conscious breathing, and energy work that gradually train your awareness to maintain an elevated baseline. These practices develop your capacity to hold the conditions required for the echo phase to flourish. The fourth trigger is often a major life crisis that forces a breakthrough. Sometimes, a sudden disruption, the end of a relationship, a career collapse, or an identity-shattering event can blast through the mental limitations that were taking years to dissolve. Crisis forces a rapid dissolution of the ego and a release of old patterns, causing consciousness to reorganize at a much higher level almost overnight. In these moments, the echo phase often activates as a direct result of the accelerated evolution forced by the crisis. The fifth trigger is the catalytic power of meeting someone who is already living in the echo phase. Consciousness is contagious. When you encounter a teacher, a mentor, or even a stranger who radiates the frequency of the echo phase, their presence can act as a bridge for your own activation. Their frequency resonates with the latent potential within you, helping your consciousness cross the threshold that you were already approaching. Finally, the sixth trigger is the rapid evolution of the collective field. We are living in a unique period of human history where more individuals are entering the echo phase than ever before. This creates a powerful morphic field that makes activation easier for everyone who is nearing the threshold. You are standing on the shoulders of those who have awakened before you, benefiting from the patterns they have already etched into the collective consciousness. Regardless of which path brought you here, whether through gradual practice, sudden crisis, or deep healing, what matters is that you have reached the stage where your frequency, clarity, and stability have aligned. You have crossed the sacred line. You are now in a reality that is listening to your every whisper, mirroring your every thought, and reflecting your soul back to you with the speed of light. Are you ready to see what you are truly broadcasting to the world? 3 years ago, the quantum echo phase ignited within my own life during a profound retreat focused on the deep healing of trauma. Before that pivotal moment, I had spent many years dedicated to the practice of meditation, yet my experiences with manifestation remained frustratingly slow, wildly inconsistent, and almost impossible to distinguish from the simple noise of coincidence. Perhaps you can relate to that feeling of knocking on a door that never seems to open, wondering if the universe is truly listening at all, or if the laws of the quantum field are reserved for some chosen few. However, during an intensive week of somatic trauma work, a fundamental shift occurred deep within the core of my being. The old, jagged patterns of survival that had governed my existence for decades finally began to release their grip. My nervous system, once a source of constant tension and hypervigilance, achieved a level of regulation I had never known, and suddenly, my reality began to echo my thoughts with a speed that was both exhilarating and terrifying. I would find myself thinking of a specific person, and they would contact me within a single hour. I would narrow my focus onto a desired outcome, and the physical circumstances of my life would align to reflect that focus within one day. This acceleration was so dramatic and so consistent that the old excuses of confirmation bias or lucky streaks simply dissolved into the light of direct experience. At first, I made the common mistake of thinking I had somehow gained a special, magical power, that my healing had finally unlocked a set of manifestation tools I could now control like a master. But as the days turned into weeks, I realized my understanding was completely backward. I had not gained a new power. Rather, I had removed the massive wall of interference that had been blocking my natural signal for my entire life. The trauma I carried had been acting like a heavy shroud of static, keeping my consciousness trapped in a survival frequency that generated mental chaos and emotional instability. This internal noise had prevented the quantum field from responding clearly to my true intent. When the trauma was healed and the interference reduced, the natural responsiveness of the universe finally became visible, no longer hidden behind the long delays and weak signals of my past. This realization led to the most shocking discovery of my journey, the awareness of just how much I had been unconsciously manifesting while in the echo phase. You see, the quantum field does not only respond to your deliberate, positive intentions, it reflects everything. In this heightened state, every random thought, every fleeting worry, and every deep-seated fear began to manifest as physical reality. Because the echo phase makes the manifestation process visible and immediate, I could no longer hide from my own shadows. I quickly entered a period of relative chaos, where I was unintentionally creating unwanted circumstances through scattered and undisciplined thinking. When I worried about money, Financial stress appeared almost instantly. When I felt anxiety about a relationship, conflict would arise before the sun had even set. If I dwelled on a fear of a specific failure, I would attract that exact failure into my life with surgical precision. The echo was reflecting the totality of my consciousness, not just the parts I wanted the world to see, but every negative pattern operating beneath my awareness. I learned that the echo phase is not merely a tool for getting what you want. It is a profound mirror that reveals every broadcast your consciousness is sending out. To navigate this new landscape, I had to develop a level of mental discipline that I had never before required. Back when my manifestations were slow and delayed, my random thoughts didn't seem to matter much because they would dissipate before they could take root in reality. But in the echo phase, every sustained pattern of thought is echoed back with intensity. I had to become hyper-aware of where my focus was drifting throughout the day. I had to train myself to notice the exact moment my attention shifted toward unwanted patterns or fears. This was not about suppressing my thoughts, a task that only creates more resistance, but about recognizing the power of my broadcast and choosing to redirect my attention before an unwanted manifestation could occur. What I discovered through this arduous process transformed my entire understanding of how we interact with existence. Manifestation is not a technique you use occasionally to create a specific result. It is a constant process that your consciousness participates in 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, whether you are aware of it or not. Before you enter the echo phase, your unconscious manifestation happens in the dark, remaining invisible because the time lag is so long and your signal is so weak. The echo phase is a gift precisely because it accelerates the feedback loop, making the process visible. It reveals your power, but it also reveals your absolute responsibility. It forces you to address the unconscious patterns that have been creating your life from the shadows. To work with this quantum reality consciously, rather than being overwhelmed by the chaos of scattered thinking, you must master the art of directing your focus without interference. This requires the development of specific capacities that allow for conscious creation. The first capacity is mental monitoring, the ability to maintain a steady awareness of where your mind is wandering at all times. Most people's minds wander through thousands of thoughts without any tracking. Practice catching yourself in the act of thinking. Notice when your focus begins to dwell on a worry, a loop of negative self-talk, or an unwanted outcome. This awareness creates a vital gap between the thought and its manifestation, giving you the space to choose a different path. The second capacity is intentional focus, the deliberate direction of your attention toward the outcomes you desire. This is not forced positive thinking, but a grounded recognition that the quantum field will faithfully echo whatever you choose to focus on most predominantly. If you spend most of your energy focusing on what you fear, that is what will appear. You must choose to focus on what you want to experience, returning to that intention every time your mind tries to drift back into the old patterns of doubt. The third capacity is pattern recognition, where you use the manifestations you don't like as diagnostic tools. If financial stress or relationship conflict keeps echoing back to you, stop blaming the external world. Use the echo to identify the scarcity beliefs or the feelings of unworthiness that are broadcasting from your own heart. The fourth essential skill is rapid redirection. In a slow manifesting reality, you could worry for days without much consequence, but in the echo phase, dwelling for even a few hours can bring a manifestation to your doorstep. You must learn to catch the unwanted focus immediately and shift your attention to something neutral or positive before the pattern takes hold. Fifth, you must prioritize emotional regulation. The echo phase responds to your deep underlying frequency more than your temporary mood swings. If your baseline is stable and elevated, a temporary moment of sadness won't break the phase, but chronic stress or unprocessed trauma will eventually deactivate it. Cultivate this stability through breathing, movement, and the honest processing of your emotions rather than their suppression. Finally, you must master non-attachment to outcomes. Holding a desire with desperate neediness actually broadcasts a signal of "I do not have this," which the quantum field will then echo back as continued lack. You must learn to hold your intentions clearly while remaining energetically flexible about how they manifest. Practice holding the feeling of already having and already being what you desire. This alignment allows the echo phase to reflect your intention without the interference of resistance. Right now, try to practice just one of these capacities. Set a clear intention for something small you wish to experience today, and then watch your mind like a hawk. Every time your focus drifts to worry or doubt, gently and without any judgment, return your attention to your original intention. This simple training is the foundation of working with the quantum field. It is not about forcing the world to change. It is about creating a signal so clear and so consistent that the echo phase can finally reflect your highest potential back to you without the static of your past. What is unfolding within your private reality is not an isolated miracle. It is a thread in a much larger golden tapestry. You are currently part of a massive species-wide activation that is rippling across the entire planet, affecting thousands of souls simultaneously. Humanity is collectively approaching a sacred threshold where the responsiveness of the quantum field is shifting from a slow, subtle whisper to an immediate and undeniable roar. As more individuals like you awaken to this echo phase, you are creating an accelerating feedback loop where your personal evolution strengthens the collective field, and that field in turn amplifies your individual power to create. This phenomenon can be understood through the lens of morphic resonance, a concept that explains how patterns of consciousness spread through the universe. As more people enter the echo phase, the morphic field for this state of being grows stronger and more defined, making it significantly easier for others who are approaching the threshold to cross over. Think of the very first pioneers of consciousness in the modern era. They stepped into this reality with no maps, no frameworks, and no validation. They had to endure the disorientation of reality, echoing their thoughts with absolutely no cultural context to explain what was happening. But every person who followed them found the path slightly more illuminated. Today, you are the beneficiary of every mystic, every quantum researcher, and every ordinary individual who has successfully stabilized their consciousness at this frequency. Their combined achievements have etched a permanent pattern into the field of human experience, proving that the echo phase is a verifiable reality rather than a fragment of your imagination. When you learn to work with this accelerated manifestation consciously, you're not just changing your own life, you're strengthening that morphic field for every other soul who is currently struggling to make sense of their own awakening. You are a vital participant in the evolution of our species, moving humanity from a state of slow, unconscious manifestation toward a new era of rapid, conscious co-creation with the quantum field. We are living in a unique moment in human history where technology is finally beginning to reveal the quantum responsiveness that previous generations could only experience subjectively. Scientific experiments are now documenting how human focus can affect random number generators and how water crystals reorganize their very structure in response to the intentions directed at them. We are seeing evidence of plants responding to human thoughts long before any physical interaction takes place. What was once dismissed as magic is now being measured in laboratories as objective quantum dynamics. This convergence of science and spirit makes it much easier for you to trust your perceptions and recognize the echo phase for what it truly is. As individual capacity grows, we are approaching the birth of a collective echo phase. Imagine a world where the unified focus of a group can manifest global changes with the same immediacy you are seeing in your own life. We are moving toward a stage where the species can consciously choose its timeline rather than unconsciously manifesting its collective fears and traumas. Your personal training in the echo phase is the foundation for this collective power. However, as you stand at this crossroads, a profound choice is approaching that will determine the future of your development. Will the quantum echo phase become a stable, integrated capacity in your life, or will it remain a temporary phenomenon that eventually fades away? The answer depends entirely on your willingness to maintain the internal conditions that support this state: an elevated frequency, absolute mental clarity, and deep energetic stability. If you allow these conditions to degrade through neglect, your consciousness will naturally naturally drop below the threshold, and the echo phase will deactivate, returning you to a world of slow delays and hidden causation. The greatest danger to your progress is the ego's desire to seize the echo phase as a weapon for its own agendas. The ego wants to use accelerated manifestation to control outcomes, fulfill separate desires, and protect itself from unwanted experiences. But this egoic pursuit is exactly what creates the interference that shuts the echo phase down. When you desperately want an outcome from a place of ego, you are broadcasting a frequency of lack and neediness, which the quantum field will faithfully echo back to you as more lack. The more the ego tries to manipulate the field for the benefit of the separate self, the more resistance it generates, eventually dropping your frequency below the activation point. Ancient traditions understood this trap perfectly, distinguishing between the attainment of siddhis, or supernatural powers, and the ultimate goal of moksha, which is liberation from the separate self. While powers to affect reality often arise during spiritual development, pursuing them for the ego's sake leads to a state of spiritual materialism that halts all further evolution. True progress only continues when these capacities are recognized as tools for evolution rather than toys for the ego. You must understand that the echo phase was not given to you so that you could manifest a perfect life according to the ego's limited vision. It exists to accelerate your awakening by providing immediate, undeniable feedback about the totality of what you are broadcasting. When a fear echoes back to you within hours, it is a gift that allows you to see that fear clearly and address it, rather than allowing it to operate unconsciously for years. When resistance manifests as an immediate obstacle, it is revealing an internal conflict that you can now resolve. The echo phase serves your awakening, not your gratification. I faced this exact choice 2 years after the echo phase first activated in my life. My ego desperately wanted to use my new capacities to manifest financial abundance and ideal relationships, to create a life of complete control. But whenever I approached the field from that place of neediness, the results were chaotic and often backfired, manifesting the exact opposite of my intentions. I finally had to accept that the echo phase was not serving my ego's agenda. It was revealing the parts of me that still needed transformation. When I shifted my focus from manifesting desires to allowing the echo to show me my patterns, everything stabilized. I chose evolution over egoic gratification. I chose to use the rapid feedback of the field as a mirror for my growth rather than a tool for control. It was this choice, the choice to work with the true purpose of the echo phase, that allowed it to stabilize as a permanent developmental capacity in my life. Are you ready to make that same choice, even if it means facing the shadows the mirror reveals? There comes a sacred point in your journey where the quantum echo phase finally stabilizes within you as an integrated developmental capacity rather than a temporary, unstable phenomenon that comes and goes like a passing storm. This transformation does not occur because the manifestation process suddenly becomes something you can control with an iron fist. It does not. Instead, the stability emerges naturally because your consciousness has finally established itself at a frequency where the echo remains active regardless of the temporary fluctuations in your daily circumstances, your fleeting emotions, or your shifting focus. This permanence is not achieved through an exhausting effort to maintain a perfect state of mind, which would only create more resistance. Rather, it is the result of your consciousness developing to a level where an elevated frequency, mental clarity, and energetic stability have become your new baseline, your natural way of existing in the world, rather than a peak state that requires constant work to access. This shift confirms itself through what no longer disrupts your connection to the field. Temporary stress that would have dropped you below the threshold in the past now creates only a brief fluctuation, while the echo phase remains firmly active. Emotional upsets that once would have destabilized your entire frequency now pass through your awareness without deactivating the accelerated manifestation process. Mental chaos that would have created too much interference before is now recognized and redirected so quickly quickly that the quantum field continues to function with absolute precision. Once this stabilization occurs, your life begins to look and feel radically different from the slow manifesting reality of your past. It is not necessarily a life of constant, easy bliss. In fact, it can be significantly more challenging because the immediate feedback of the universe reveals the unconscious patterns that a slower life once allowed to remain hidden in the shadows. However, this existence is far more real, more honest, and more aligned with your actual consciousness than any idealized version you might have imagined you were broadcasting. When reality responds with such startling speed to your internal state, your life becomes dynamically responsive. You are no longer trapped in predetermined heavy patterns of the past. You are dancing with the present moment. Living in a stable echo phase means accepting a level of radical responsibility for everything that manifests in your physical world. This is not a call for self-blame or the heavy burden of guilt. You are not a bad person because a difficult circumstance appeared. Instead, it is a powerful, empowering recognition that if a situation has materialized, it is because something in your own consciousness broadcasted a signal that the quantum field echoed back. This recognition allows you to examine your awareness and transform the internal broadcast that created the unwanted reflection. When financial stress appears, instead of blaming an external economy, you examine what belief in scarcity you might be holding in your heart. When conflict arises in your relationships, instead of pointing a finger at the other person, you look inward to see what pattern in you is creating that dynamic. When obstacles manifest, you do not think you are unlucky. You examine what internal resistance or self-sabotage is operating unconsciously within you. In this state, synchronicities are no longer just coincidences. They become your primary guidance system. Instead of making every decision through cold, rational analysis or fleeting emotional preference alone, you learn to hold a question in your consciousness and allow the echo phase to provide the answers. Do you need direction? A synchronicity appears to point the way. Are you wondering if you are aligned with the right path? A confirmation or a contradiction manifests almost immediately to guide you. If you are seeking understanding about a complex situation, the information you need will appear through a seemingly random encounter or a sudden conversation. This does not replace your human discernment, but it creates a powerful communication channel where the quantum field responds to your awareness with an immediacy that makes divine guidance tangible and real. Manifestation itself transforms from a one-way demand into a co-creative conversation. Instead of telling the universe exactly what you want and demanding that it appear, you express your intention while remaining deeply open to how the field responds. Sometimes your intention manifests exactly as you specified. At other times, a variation appears that serves your soul far better than your original request. Sometimes resistance manifests, revealing an unconscious block that you must address before your intention can echo clearly. This responsiveness creates a dynamic relationship with reality, a back and forth where you express yourself, reality responds, you adjust, and reality reflects that adjustment in return. Because of this speed, emotional mastery becomes a practical necessity rather than an optional spiritual goal. In a slow manifesting world, you could carry chronic anger, anxiety, or fear for months without seeing an obvious physical consequence. In the echo phase, sustaining a negative emotional state for even a few days will create a matching manifestation, making emotional regulation an essential skill for your survival and peace. This is not about suppressing your emotions, which only creates more internal static. It is about processing them efficiently, returning to your baseline of stability quickly, and maintaining an elevated frequency as your default state, even when life presents temporary difficulties. This mastery allows you to work with the echo phase consciously, ensuring that your broadcast remains clear and powerful. The most profound gift of this stage is that your consciousness of your own unconscious patterns accelerates dramatically. The echo phase functions as a continuous feedback loop, revealing what operates beneath your awareness with startling clarity. An unconscious fear is broadcast into the field and echoes back within hours, making the fear visible so you can face it. An unconscious belief creates a corresponding circumstance within days, making the belief apparent so you can change it. This accelerates accelerated revelation allows you to address and heal patterns in a few short months that would have taken years to even recognize in a slower manifestation reality. 4 years after the echo phase first activated in my own journey, I can no longer return to the state of complete unconsciousness. The echo is simply how my consciousness operates now. Reality mirrors my thoughts consistently. Synchronicities provide my daily guidance, and rapid manifestations reveal my internal blocks immediately. The feedback loop that was initially so disorienting has become my natural way of interfacing with the quantum reality. This is not because I maintain it through a rigid discipline, but because my consciousness has developed to a point where the echo phase is a baseline function of my being. If you are sensing this permanent stabilization occurring within yourself, acknowledge it. Recognize that your accelerated manifestation has become consistent enough, stable enough, and reliable enough that your soul simply knows this is who you are now. You have crossed the threshold where the echo phase is a permanent feature of how you interface with the universe. Take a deep breath, a very deep one. As you exhale, reflect on the last few days of your life. What have you been thinking about with consistency? What has appeared in your experience that matches those thoughts? What synchronicities have occurred that were too precisely timed to ever be dismissed as random? What circumstances have shifted in direct reflection of the emotional states you have occupied? If you look honestly at the correspondence between your inner focus and your outer manifestation, can you see the echo occurring? Can you feel the quantum field responding to your consciousness with a reduced time lag that makes your own power apparent? In the coming days, I invite you to track this echo consciously. When a thought appears, notice when the corresponding circumstance manifests. When you focus your intent, notice the synchronicities that appear in relation to that focus. When your emotional state shifts, notice how reality shifts to reflect it. Keep a mental or written note of these moments, not to prove anything to anyone else, but to make it undeniable to yourself that the echo is real. This tracking makes conscious what is already operating, allowing you to work with the phase deliberately rather than being swept away by its intensity. You are not imagining the connection between your inner focus and your outer circumstances. You are perceiving actual quantum dynamics operating in your direct, lived experience. You are witnessing the moment where your awareness sees the field responding to your thoughts with a reduced time lag. Once this recognition occurs, you can finally move through the world as a conscious creator rather than a victim of scattered focus. The echo is active. Reality is responding. Your consciousness is participating in every single moment of creation. Welcome to the echo phase. Welcome to seeing the quantum dynamics of your soul operating visibly in the world around you. If you're ready to expand your consciousness and step into your next quantum leap, subscribe now, leave a comment below, and share this message with someone ready to awaken. Let us know in the comments which signs you are seeing in your life today. Is it the collapse of time, the precision of manifestation, or the immediate reflection of your emotions? Your acknowledgement validates this transformation and strengthens the field for us all. Together, we are stepping into a new era of conscious participation with the infinite. Thank you for being a part of this global shift. We will see you in the next reflection.